Before I ask the clerk to take the roll, Alderwoman Shoshana Kelly is participating by telephone, and under the terms of the state law that allows her to do that, she needs to explain why she can't attend, if she can hear us, and who she is with, if anyone. Alderwoman Kelly.
Yeah. Sorry. I am alone. I just had a baby, and what was the third one? I forgot.
You can hear us.
Can't hear her. Can she hear us? Because I couldn't hear her.
I can hear you guys. You can't hear me?
I can hear you better now.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you need me to repeat?
Please.
Okay. I just had a baby. I can hear you guys, and I am alone.
Thank you, Alderman Kelly. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien.
Present.
Alderman Gidge.
Present.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Present.
Alderman Dowd.
Present.
Alderman Clee.
Here.
Alderman Laws.
Here.
Alderman Lopez.
Here.
Alderman Karen.
Here.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Here.
Alderman Jettie. Alderwoman Milizi Gola.
Present.
Alderman Tenza.
Present.
Alderman Schmidt.
Here.
Alderman Clemmons.
Here.
Alderman Wilshire.
Here.
We have 14 members present.
Also joining us this evening is Mayor Donchis and Corporation Counsel Steve Bolton. Does the mayor wish to address the board?
Yes, I do, Madam President. Thank you very much. There are a number of items on tonight, so I'll try to get through them quickly. But first, in a moment, we are going to be congratulating Kathy Bolton for many years of service over at the Public Library. So I want to congratulate her right now and say that your service has been very valuable to the city, and we are glad you were able to join us tonight. Madam President, we have a series of resolutions that relate to the city surplus and the application of that surplus to various purposes. The first and most important of the resolutions is the one that's introduced tonight for the first time, which would apply $4.5 million of the surplus to the tax rate. This is the same amount of surplus that was applied last year. And we do this every year to make sure that any tax rate that we pass is, we try to keep it to a minimum. Now, the other resolutions that relate to the surplus are in a series, R19-163, 64, 65, 67, 68, 69, and 70. When you put all those together, after allocating $4.5 million to the tax rate, those resolutions place money in ways that will, principally into savings accounts, that will save us taxes in the future. For example, the two of the resolutions would add $3 million to the health insurance fund. Now, the city is self-insured, so we work off estimates towards the coming year's expenses. It is not like an insurance policy where you pay a specific amount and then you have everything covered. We are self-insured. Now that saves millions, saves a lot of money every year, millions and millions of dollars over the many years we've been self-insured. Manchester also is self-insured for the same reason. But because we are dealing with an estimated level of expenditure based on claims, future claims that are estimated, we have a savings account that backs that up. So there's a reserve that backs up our health care obligations. And if you put two of the resolutions together, we would be adding $3 million to the health reserve account, which has declined a little bit over the last few years because some of the estimates have been low. Healthcare has been going up pretty quickly. So that's savings account number one. Number two is approximately $2.6 million into the CERF, or the Capital Equipment Reserve Fund. That, of course, enables us to buy equipment, trucks, everything, all equipment except for very large purchases such as fire trucks, which are, many hundreds of thousands or $1 million. This covers all other equipment expenditures, and we would be putting $2.6 million into that account. Number three, $1 million would go towards the school project that we know is coming, the middle school project, a kind of a down payment to help pay for initial expenses, architecture, and the like. This is, again, expenditure that we know in the end we have to make, so we're putting a deposit towards that account, towards that project. Number three, there are two resolutions that together would provide $1 million to Public Works. Again, we need $300,000 to begin either the improvement of some of the existing facilities or the consolidation of those facilities. So there's money for that, as well as $700,000 for basically almost an emergency project at Lincoln Park, where we have a playground that it's built on a landfill. The playground is all slanted. It needs to be fixed. And whatever is left over, we should provide to sidewalks. We've heard over and over again that we're doing a great job with the streets, but the sidewalks are in bad shape, which of course they are, so we need to try to make a little more progress there. There's $300,000 to the library project, Library Plaza project, which I think we've seen the design and everybody agrees that would be a very worthwhile to undertake. So there are smaller items, those are the larger ones. There are a couple of amendments which you will hear. One will shift $69,000 from an airport project which is not going to proceed because the grant was not obtained into an additional ELL teacher. That was a change which Alderman Lopez and I discussed before the last Budget Committee meeting. The Budget Committee was very supportive of that because we know we have we know we have a shortage of ELL teachers. So that is one amendment. And there is a $50,000 amendment to reduce one of the SURF items and allocate $50,000 to doing a study of the fire department in terms of future needs. Finally, there is $100,000 in the escrows for police overtime. This again is a savings account against which the police department can draw when and if they have a large a group of very intense crimes, serious crimes that they have to put an intense effort on. We've had examples of when a couple murders occur at the same time. Murders here are very rare, but occasionally things happen. And so there's this savings account that they can draw on if they need it when there are serious crimes that require their 24-hour attention. So those are so I think I could answer any questions about that, but I think gives you an overview. We discussed this in more detail with the Budget Committee, but that gives you an overview of how the surplus would be allocated and how we would add to the healthcare trust fund. Next, we have an important appointment on the agenda. That is the appointment of Sue Lovering to be the city clerk effective September 17th. We've been honored to have Trish Piezzo, city clerk, serve us for a number of years, but she is going on to the state of secretary to be head of state elections. So we hope she'll take care of us once she gets up there. At least she knows us, and I really appreciate her years of service and wish her the best going forward. But we have a very qualified nominee, I believe, Sue Lovering, who has worked for the city. You all know her, but has worked for the city for a long time, about 30 years, first in the legal department and then serving the Board of Aldermen. She is going to be very customer friendly, I'm sure. She knows the city very well. She is getting up to date on all the election laws and getting prepared to take over and conduct the city election on November 5th. I appointed her prior to City Clerk Piezzo's departure so that she could be ready, and assuming you confirm that appointment, she would be available and would begin serving the day that Ms. Piezzo leaves. Ms. Lovering and Ms. Piezzo have been working together and talking over the job over the past few weeks. Ms. Lovering has attended a city clerk's training session, and there's some more coming up soon. And I believe she will make a fine city clerk in the tradition of Ms. Pietzu, Paul Bergeron, and other city clerks who preceded them. Next, Madam Chair, I apologize for the length here, but we have two resolutions that I believe are important, those being 171 and 172. Those relate to undertaking a solar project in conjunction with the fire department and with Conway Arena. We would use the contractor Revision Energy. There has been a very extensive review and discussion of this project, of Revision as well. There were RFPs that went out and they were selected as the principal vendor. And we are grouping these buildings together because by grouping them together, we get a better financial deal. When this begins, we will save money for the fire department, we'll save money for the city using the transit garage and save money for Conway. It's just an initial project, but one that will save everyone money and which will reduce the city's carbon footprint. So I hope you will, and one of these resolutions does extend the Conway lease under its current terms. The point there being that they need to have the confidence that they will remain as the tenant of the building, or it's a land lease, but they will be able to continue to occupy the building during the term that it will require to sort of complete the solar project and realize the full course of savings. Finally, there is a resolution on your desks, which I would ask you accept and refer to committee. We'll discuss it in detail in the committee, that being R19-176. This is a transfer, a proposed transfer of $56,300 into various line items related to assessing and legal. There's $6,300 for equipment having to do with the full measure and list. The remaining $50,000 would principally be to pay the future, the costs we expect to incur in overtime, and in terms of a document, we need to get a temporary document person. The costs we would need to incur in the next several months to respond to a plethora of right-to-know requests that have been received and which are being processed by assessing, by legal, by IT, related to the assessing function. So we will discuss that in the committee, but we need the money pretty quickly, so I would ask you to accept it just for first reading under a right to know, and then, under suspension of the rules, and then we can discuss it in detail with whatever committee it is assigned to. Finally, on assessing, I've spoken with Alderman Wilshire, and she is going to, I understand, schedule a meeting before our next regular aldermanic meeting to give time for an update of the Board of Aldermen regarding the various positive changes that have been made at the assessing department. And I think I've covered everything, Madam President.
Thank you, Mayor. Response to remarks of the mayor? Alderman Dowd.
Just to summarize, we had a good discussion at the Budget Committee on resolutions 163 to 170, and with the two minor amendments, they were all approved unanimously. And the other item is that the school department is looking to put solar on one of its schools that already had been built years ago to hold solar so it can handle the weight. And they may be tying it into this project, but they are working with the same company.
Further responses to the remarks of the mayor? Seeing none. Recognition period.
First reading of Resolution 19-173, recognizing Kathy Bolton of the National Public Library.
There being no objection, I'll suspend the rules to allow for the second reading of Resolution 19-173.
Second reading of Resolution 19-173, recognizing Kathy Bolton of the National Public Library.
Alderwoman Malizia Golia.
Yes, I would move for final passage of R 19-173 by a roll call vote.
Motion is for final passage. Is there discussion on that? Seeing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Gidge.
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderman Laws.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Karen.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderwoman Malizia Gola.
Yes.
Alderman Tenza.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes,
We have 14 yeas.
and that motion carries. Mayor.
So maybe we will ask, Bolton to come on up.
Come on up.
Okay, recognition honoring Kathy Bolton. Whereas Kathy E. Bolton is an individual of the Nashua community, her dedication to the city's public library and to showing children the joy of reading is second to none. And whereas Kathy began her career as a library assistant in the children's department at the Nashua Public Library in September 1976. In March 1980, she was named lead children's librarian. Kathy expanded the children's programming to include birth through elementary, families, and story times in multiple languages. More recently, she led the library's efforts to become certified as a family place library in May 2019. Over the years, she has worked closely with early childhood centers and elementary schools in Nashua to bring books and story times out into the community. And whereas she has served on many committees focused on early childhood literacy and development, including Nashua Goes Back to School, Early Childhood Fair, and Child Care Advisory Commission for more than 20 years. Kathy was active in the New Hampshire Library Association as its president and co-founder of its children's division. And whereas 2 generations of Nashuans had the tools to learn and grow thanks to Kathy, she instilled a love of reading in many in the community. And now, therefore, Jim Donchis, Mayor of the City of Nashua, New Hampshire, does hereby recognize Kathy Bolton for her years of service to the City of Nashua and to the community. She has been a wonderful member of the library team, and he encourages you to wish her a happy retirement. And the Board of Aldermen, thank you. We'll miss you.
Are we getting old? No. Thank you. Not yet.
Thanks.
Reading minutes of the previous meetings. There being no objection, I will declare the minutes of the Board of Aldermen meeting of August 13th, 2019 accepted, placed on file, and the reading suspended. Communications requiring only procedural actions and written reports from liaisons.
Communication from Linda LaFlamme, Chairman, Board of Library Trustees, relative to a request for joint convention.
There being no objection, I will accept the communication, place it on file, and schedule a joint convention with the Board of Library Trustees for Tuesday, September 24th, 2019 at 7:30 p.m. in the Aldermanic Chamber. Period for public comment relative to items expected to be acted upon this evening. We have 7 guests that have signed up to speak. Just the formality that we have a 15-minute public comment period, but we will give everyone a fair chance to be heard. The first speaker is George Ide. If you would give your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, I'm George Eade, and I go to Nashua High School South, and my address is 22 Hibiscus Way. I'm here to speak in favor of the ordinance for free student parking at the Nashville Public Library. So with the support from the library staff and a minimal financial impact, I think this ordinance would serve well to remove any potential financial barrier to enriching students' educational experiences in Nashua. And if anybody should have access to the library, we should at least include students, because that is what, at the end of the day, that is what this ordinance is all about, enriching students' educational experiences. As of now, many students don't make use of the many great resources at the Nashville Public Library. And there really are a lot of great resources there that are more than just books, ranging from documentaries to movies to music. Last year, I even made use of the microfilm reader for a project on old Nashville telegraphs. Long story short, there are so many resources at the library that taxpayers of the city are already paying for. So this could be a way to get students to make good use of them. Another thing is how the ordinance is being proposed as a pilot program now. So we're at least giving it a chance to see if it can be successful, whether this be measured by how often the passes are used or some other measure. And with full support from the library staff, a review will be conducted by the Youth Advisory Council in consultation with the library staff. So for these reasons, I would strongly recommend passing this ordinance to broaden the educational opportunities provided for the students of Nashua. Thank you.
Asma Akbar?
Hi, my name is Asma Akbar. I go to Nashua High School South. My address is 9 Clydesdale Circle. And I'm here for the library parking ordinance. I think this is a great way for students to come to the library because I actually started going there to study, and it's like a really good environment. It's quiet. It's better than Barnes and Noble, actually, in my opinion, because it's really quiet. At Barnes, it's very loud. And one thing that happened the other day was my friend, she has her own car, so I told my friends to come study, and she could only stay for an hour because she just didn't want to pay for it. So she left after an hour, which wasn't very helpful. She only got a few things done. But yeah, I think the library is a great place that students should use. It's there, and yeah, I hope you guys pass this. Thank you.
Thank you. Delaney Nelson?
Hi, my name is Delaney Nelson. I go to Nashua High School South, and my address is 36 Woodfield Street. I'm speaking in favor of the free parking at the library ordinance as well. I support this movement or legislation rather, because the library is an academically centered environment. As aforementioned, there's many resources and it's quiet, and in my experience, it's a comparatively better study spot than many other places like a cafe or bookstores, which are often distracting. And again, in my own experience, I found my study sessions to be much more productive there. But as far as the resources, you have to become a library member in order to use a computer and log in with the number on your member card. Therefore, this program would generate more membership at the library and publicity, as you have to become a member to use what is probably the top resource there. And students would not abuse this privilege because of the system in place in which when you sign in to get your free parking pass, you give the library your student ID, and you cannot get your student ID back until you return the parking pass. So for these reasons, I support this ordinance.
Thank you. Jim Rafferty?
I stand in support of no parking at the library too. But I'm Jim Rafferty. I live at Jackson Falls. That's 52 Main Street. I stand in support of sports betting for New Hampshire. I think it'd be a wonderful place. The River Sports Bar on High Street, that's 53 High Street, would be a wonderful place to go and make a bet. I wish, as the Patriots move to -19 on the board, just for the record, in this week's battle with the Dolphins. If you could go to the river and make that bet, that'd be a wonderful thing. Right now, if you wanted to take the Patriots -19, you'd have to drive to Twin Rivers in Rhode Island to make that bet, or you could drive to New Jersey just over the border and do it on a mobile application. But it would be better if you could just go to the river and place the bet. New England minus 19. So with that in mind, sports betting has become I think could be a beautiful combination between that and the charity gaming facility that we have on High Street. There's another property in town that I will not mention, but I'm sure he will. And I think it's time for this piece of legislation to come. We worked hard in the House of Representatives to get it through. There are safety nets. It has to be approved by the executive committee, the final contract. It has to be approved by the governor. But Nashua has led the way in Keno, and we think we should lead the way here in sports betting also. My facility, over the 12 years that we've been in operation, have raised over $3,250,000 for charities. We're proud of that fact. With 106 different charities throughout the region. We think it's good public policy. We think it's been effective for New Hampshire, and it's been effective for employment. The 50 employees that I have, most of them dealers making between $40,000 and $50,000 a year, is good employment, solid employment, and I think we provide a meaningful business contribution to the fun and entertainment of the citizens and the region. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mary Lou Blaisdell.
Good evening. Mary Lou Blaisdell, 32 Webster Street. I'm here to talk about student parking at the library, and I went to high school many, many years ago. I know that the infrastructure committee did hear from the students, and I applaud the students for becoming civically involved in this issue. As the Downtown Improvement Committee had extended an invitation to several students and one of the sponsors of this to come to our committee and present, but we had no presentation of this at the Downtown Improvement Committee. We did, though, have a good understanding of what was proposed. We discussed it, and we unanimously voted that we did not support it at this time. One of the main reasons is, before you tonight, you do have an RFP to fund a parking study. And we do know that there does need to be a parking study downtown. We know that we do have some issues. We need to address those issues, and we want to address those issues. We feel that making changes, even if it's in a pilot program, and then undoing those changes just presents confusion to the population. We also feel that if we grant free parking to one group, then we have to look at granting free parking to another group. This particular lot generates over $27,000 a year. Doing 3 hours of free parking for 20 spaces may not seem a lot, but over a course of a year, it does calculate up to several $1,000s. And those dollars we now put back into downtown by supporting the farmers market with them, lighting for the holiday stroll, and other activities that do go on downtown. By having a parking study done, we will be able to determine whether it is a good idea or a bad idea to make a lot free, and for what demographic we make that lot. A parking study will help us know if our time limits are good or bad, whether we do need zones or we don't need zones, whether we need to increase our lease lot or not increase our lease lot. I would like to point out, too, that abutting the parking lot at the library is Cotton Street, and Cotton Street is free. It abuts that lot. It is a 2-hour limit, but it is free. So there's an abundance of free parking right there. The parking lots and the parking garages, and the surface lots are all free on Saturday and on Sunday. So there is an abundance of free parking, we believe, right now at this time available to people. Manchester, Dover, Concord, Portsmouth, they have all conducted parking studies like we are proposing that the city conduct. Several of those cities are redoing those studies again in the next couple of years. They found that those studies have been very beneficial in pointing out where the problems are with their parking and adjusting those parking situations. So the Downtown Improvement Committee would like for you to let us have the parking study conducted. Let us see what our problems are, what information comes back to us, and so that we as a group can discuss it and implement a parking program that will work for everybody. Thank you.
Rich Flannan.
Good evening, Rich Lannon. I live in McGrath and Pelham. I am also on the Downtown Improvement Committee, and I don't want to be repetitive because I know you have a long agenda, and Mary Lou pretty much touched on just about everything as well that I was going to mention. The Downtown Improvement Committee, which myself and Mary Lou and several others have been on for, since its inception, and the committee before that, and we do think about these things through quite a bit. I mean, we look at everything that our budget is small, so we really have to do a lot of discussions about every item. We didn't know a lot of the details, as she said, at the last meeting ahead of time to hear the students, which I don't know if it would have made a difference, but it would have been nice to do that. But I do agree with her. I think the parking study coming up that we talked in length on is perfect timing to talk about parking rates, parking times, and everything else going on with parking. When we did these parking regulations back 5 or 6 years ago, whatever it is now, a lot of thought went into that, but things changed. So the timing is such that we are reviewing them, everything, all over again. And with the free parking that's in the area, I do commend the students. We would love to have them come downtown to the library now and in the future. I just don't know that this is the right time in seeing this parking study through, so that we, before money is taken out of our already, again, small budget that we have allocated over the next year and looking into the next couple of years, I just think the timing is bad. So just to encourage you to still think about it for the future, but wait for the parking study to be done. Thank you.
Grace Leto.
Hi, I'm Grace Leto. I go to Nashua High School North, and my address is 26 Massachusetts Drive. So I would like to speak in favor of the parking. So this parking would encourage student use, especially low-income students and college students who are home for the summer. I know from personal experience, my sisters, we live by Revere, so sometimes they'll go to Revere's library to study, but it would be very nice if they could also attend Nashua's library for the low cost. And then for me, as a personal anecdote, when I got my license this summer, I got myself a library card because I was now responsible for my own books. So, yeah. And then at times the downtown area can feel a little bit unsafe, especially at night. So by parking in the library parking lot, it feels a lot safer to walk to the library. It's a little bit dark there. It's just the closest lot, and it just feels a lot safer. And then free student parking is a very clear sign that the library is very welcome for students to study. Thank you.
Thank you. Communications requiring final approval.
Communication from Mayor Jim Donsis relative to a contract award for landfill engineering services.
Alderman O'Brien.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to make a motion to accept, place on file, and award the contract to Sanborn Head and Associates in the amount of $270,000 by roll call.
You've heard the motion. Is there discussion on that motion? Seeing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Gidge.
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderman Laws.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez. Alderman Karen.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderwoman Malizi Gola.
Yes.
Alderman Tenza.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes,
We have 14 yeas.
and that motion carries.
Communication from Mayor Jim Donsis relative to a contract award with Electronic Environments for UPS service.
Alderman Laws.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to accept, place on file, and award the 5-year contract to Electronic Environments LLC for an annual cost of $4,825 by roll call.
You've heard the motion. Is there discussion on that motion? Seeing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Gidge.
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright. Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderman Laws.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Karen. Alderwoman Kelly. Alderwoman Malizi Gola.
Yes.
Alderman Tenza.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes,
We have 14 yeas.
and that motion carries. Petitions.
In accordance with NRO 285, Article 3, a petition for street acceptance for Bancroft Street and Serenity Drive are being submitted to the Board of Aldermen.
There being no objection, I'll accept the petitions as read, refer them to the Committee on Infrastructure, and schedule a public hearing on Bancroft Street, Serenity Drive, and Legacy Lane for Wednesday, October 23rd, 2019, at 7 p.m. in the Aldermanic Chamber. Nominations, appointments, and elections.
There are none.
Reports of committees. There being no objection, I'll declare the report of the September 5th, 2019 Budget Review Committee accepted and placed on file. There being no objection, I'll declare the report of the August 14th, 2019 Finance Committee accepted and placed on file. There being no objection, I'll declare the report of the September 4th, 2019 Finance Committee accepted and placed on file. There being no objection, I will declare the report of the August 2019 Human Affairs Committee accepted and placed on file. There being no objection, I will declare the report of the August 28th, 2019 Committee on Infrastructure accepted and placed on file. There being no objection, I will declare the report of the September 3rd, 2019 Planning and Economic Development Committee accepted and placed on file. There being no objection, I will suspend the rules to allow for an oral report of the Personnel Administrative Affairs Committee meeting held last night regarding the mayor's appointment of the city clerk and Resolution 19162. Alderman Karen.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Last night, the Personnel Committee met and had a conversation with Sue Lovering, the mayor's appointment as the new city clerk. Because this is time sensitive, we ask that the board approve Sue Lovering's nomination and for her term to begin September 17th, 2019.
Okay, confirmation of mayor's appointments.
City clerk.
There being no objection, I'll confirm the appointment of Susan Lovering, 23 Bates Drive, Nashua, to the office of city clerk for an indefinite term at the pleasure of the mayor. Ms. Lovering?
Effective September 17th, 2019, do solemnly swear that you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon you as Nashua City Clerk according to the best of your abilities and agreeable to the rules and regulations of the city charter and the Constitution and laws of the state of New Hampshire, so help you God.
Unfinished business resolutions.
Second reading of Resolution 19-147, authorizing purchase and sale of city land at 21 Pine Street, map 77, lot 17, in land on Public Service Company, New Hampshire, doing business as Eversource Energy at 3 Pine Street Extension, map 77, lot 2A.
Alderman Lopez.
Make a motion for final passage of R19-147 by roll call.
The motion is for final passage of R19-147. Is there discussion on that motion? Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Gedge.
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright. Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderman Laws.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Karen.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderwoman Malizi Gola.
Yes.
Alderman Tenza.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes,
We have 14 yeas.
and that motion carries.
Second reading of Resolution 19-154, establishing an expendable trust fund for appropriations for parking-related expenses.
Alderman O'Brien.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to make a motion for final passage of R-19-154 by roll call.
You've heard the motion. Is there discussion on that motion? Seeing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Gidge.
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderman Laws.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Karen. Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderwoman Malizi Gola.
Yes.
Alderman Tenza.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes,
We have 14 yeas.
and that motion carries.
Second reading of Resolution 19-157, changing the agent to expend on certain expendable trust funds administered by the Parks and Recreation Department.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to make a motion for final passage of R 19-157 by roll call.
Motion is for final passage. Is there discussion on that motion? Seeing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Gidge.
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderman Laws. Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Karen.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly. Alderwoman Malizi Gola.
Yes.
Alderman Tenza.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes,
14 yeas.
that motion carries.
Second reading of Resolution 19-160 relative to the acceptance and appropriation of $27,000 from the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation into Public Health and Community Services Grant Activity FY20 Substance Misuse Prevention.
Alderman Tenza.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to make a motion for final passage of R 19-160 by roll call.
Motion is for final passage of R 19-160. Discussion on that motion. Seeing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Gidge.
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright. Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Clee. Alderman Laws. Alderman Lopez. Alderman Karen. Alderwoman Kelly. Alderwoman Malizi Gola.
Yes.
Alderman Tenza.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt. Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes,
We have 14 yeas.
and that motion carries.
Second reading of Resolution 19-162 relative to a ballot referendum to allow sports betting within the city of Nashua.
Alderman Clemmons.
Yeah, I would move for final passage of R 19-162 by roll call, and also schedule a public hearing for Tuesday, October 8th, 2019 at 7 p.m. in the Aldermanic Chamber.
You've heard the motion. Is there discussion on that motion? Alderwoman Clee.
Yes, many of the members weren't here for the presentation before, and I'd like to make some comments of something that got clarified while we were there. At the Personnel Committee, I had mentioned that it was a three-step process. One being put on the ballot, one getting the state to approve the licenses for the individual organizations, I believe there's 10, and that the last would be the BOA approval. The last part is incorrect. The approval will come through the normal licensing process of any business, and I've been able to clarify that that actually comes through the Secretary of State up in Concord. The one thing, though, that the legislation HB 480 does allow the Board of Aldermen to do is, if for some reason this is not working out, we have the right to rescind. We have that right. So that's more or less where that last ultimate decision gets made. The other question that had been asked at the personnel meeting was, where would this money be going? And just like all other lottery money and Keno and so on, it will go to the education funding. I think that was the last thing I needed to say. Thank you so much.
Any further discussion? The motion is for final passage of R 19-162 by roll call, and a public hearing will be scheduled Tuesday, October 8th, 2019 at 7 p.m. in the Aldermanic Chamber. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Gidge.
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright. Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderman Laws.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Karen.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderwoman Malizi Gola.
Yes.
Alderman Tenza.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes,
We have 14 yeas.
and that motion carries.
Second reading of Resolution 19-163 relative to the supplemental appropriation of $1,500,000 of FY 2019 unanticipated revenue from Department Number 126 Financial Services, Accounting Classification Number 45, Miscellaneous Revenue, into Fund Number 7026, Capital Equipment Reserve Fund.
Alderman O'Brien.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to amend R 19-163 in its entirety by replacing it with the proposed amendments made at the Budget Review Committee by roll call.
The motion is to amend R 19-163 by replacing it with the proposed amendments made at the Budget Review Committee. Is there discussion on the amendment? Alderman Dowd.
Yes, in working with the mayor, we determined this was the best place to get the $50,000 for the comprehensive fireman's report, which the last time was done was 33 years ago. You can see it's got a little yellow. So it's way overdue time for a good assessment of the fire department so that they can plan accordingly for the next 20 years.
Further discussion on the motion to amend? Seeing none, would the clerk call the roll, please?
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Gidge.
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderman Laws.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Karen. Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderwoman Malizi Gola.
Yes.
Alderman Tenza.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes,
We have 14 yeas.
and that motion carries. Alderman O'Brien.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to make a motion for final passage of R 19-163 as amended by roll call.
You've heard the motion. Is there discussion on that motion? Seeing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Gidge.
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderman Laws.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Karen. Alderwoman Kelly. Alderwoman Malizi Gola.
Yes.
Alderman Tenza.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes,
We have 14 yeas.
and that motion carries.
Second reading of Resolution 19-164 relative to the supplemental appropriation of $1 million of FY 2019 unanticipated revenue from Department Number 126 Financial Services, Accounting Classification Number 42, Licenses and Permits, revenue into Fund Number 6600, Benefits Self-Insurance Fund.
Alderman Karen.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I'd like to make a motion for final passage of R-19-164 by roll call.
The motion is for final passage. Is there discussion on that motion? Seeing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Gidge.
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderman Laws.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Karen.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderwoman Malizi Gola.
Yes.
Alderman Tenza.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes,
We have 14 yeas.
and that motion carries.
Second reading of Resolution 19-165 relative to the appropriation of $2 million of FY 2020 assigned fund balance into Fund Number 6600, Benefits Self-Insurance Fund.
Alderman Gidge.
I'd like to make a motion on passage of R 19-165. Roll call, please.
Motion is for final passage of R 19-165. Is there discussion on that motion? Seeing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Gidge.
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderman Laws.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Karen. Alderwoman Kelly. Alderwoman Malizi Gola.
Yes.
Alderman Tenza.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt. Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes,
We have 14 yeas.
and that motion carries.
Second reading of Resolution 19-166 relative to the acceptance and appropriation of $110,000 from the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation into Parks and Recreation Grant Activity, Jeff Moran Fund, Playground Improvements at Roby Park.
Alderwoman Malizia Goya.
I would move for final passage of R19-166 by roll call, and if I could speak to it also, please.
Motion is for final passage of R19-166. Alderwoman Malizia Goya.
Yes, thank you. I would just like to once again thank the Jeff Moran family. They have continued to be supporters of Roby Park, first with the fields, most recently with the shade canopy for the playground area, and now with the turf for that playground area. And as many of you know, that playground is used by many families who drive there and spend the afternoon there. The families who use that playground have been very happy to see what's happening there, and again, thank you to the Moran family for their generosity.
Further discussion? Seeing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Gidge.
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright. Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderman Laws.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Karen.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderwoman Malizia Gola.
Yes.
Alderman Tenza.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes,
We have 14 yeas.
and that motion carries.
Second reading of Resolution 19-167 relative to the supplemental appropriation of $1 million of FY 2019 unanticipated revenue from a Department Number 191, School, Accounting Classification Number 43, Intergovernmental Revenue, into School Capital Project Activity, District-Wide Middle School Renovations.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion for final passage of R19-167, contingent upon Capital Improvements Committee recommendation by roll call. I'd like to speak to it.
Motion is for final passage of R19-167, contingent upon Capital Improvements Committee recommendation. Alderman Dowd.
Yes, this is going to go to the CIC for a ranking. All of the forms have been submitted, and I believe it's around the 25th of this month. And so final action will be come out of that.
You've heard the motion. Further discussion? Seeing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Gidge.
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderman Laws.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Karen. Alderwoman Kelly. Alderwoman Malizia Gola.
Yes.
Alderman Tenza.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes,
And we have 14 yeas.
and that motion carries.
Second reading of Resolution 19-168 relative to the supplemental appropriation of $300,000 of FY 2019 unanticipated revenue from Department Number 126, Financial Services, Accounting Classification Number 42, Licenses and Permits, Revenue into Capital Project Activity Number 14, Court Street Courtyard Improvements.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion for final passage of R19-168, contingent upon Capital Improvements Committee recommendation by roll call.
Heard the motion. Is there discussion on that motion? Seeing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Gidge.
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderman Laws.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Karen. Alderwoman Kelly. Alderwoman Malizia Gola.
Yes.
Alderman Tenza.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes,
We have 14 yeas.
and that motion carries.
Second reading of Resolution 19-169 relative to the supplemental appropriation of $700,000 of FY 2019 unanticipated revenue from Department Number 126 Financial Services, Accounting Classification Number 42, Licenses and Permits, Revenue into Public Works Capital Project Activity, Infrastructure Improvements Citywide.
Alderman Laws.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for final passage of R19-169 by roll call.
Motion is for final passage of R19-169. Discussion on that motion. Seeing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Gedge. Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderman Laws. Alderman Lopez. Alderman Karen. Alderwoman Karen. Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderwoman Malizi Gola.
Yes.
Alderman Tenza.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes,
And we have 14 yeas.
and that motion carries.
Second reading of Resolution 19-170 relative to the reappropriation of fiscal year 2020 escrows.
Alderman Clemmons.
Thank you. I move to amend R19-170 in its entirety by replacing it with the proposed amendments made at the Budget Review Committee by roll call.
You've heard the motion. Is there discussion on that motion? Alderman Clemmons.
So the change that was made, as the mayor mentioned earlier, was taking away a sum, I think, of $69,000 and change from the airport and reappropriating that to the school department so that we can fund an ELL teacher.
Further discussion on that motion? Alderman Dowd.
This also includes the $100,000 for the police overtime account, but it's not on part of the amendment, it's just in there.
Okay, the motion is to amend R19-170. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Gedge. Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderman Laws. Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Karen.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly. Alderwoman Malizi Gola.
Yes.
Alderman Tenza.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes,
And we have 14 yeas.
that motion carries. Alderman Clemmons.
Thank you. I would move for final passage of R19-170 as amended by roll call.
Motion is for final passage as amended. Further discussion on that motion? Alderman O'Brien.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to just remind the members that coming up later, members of the board, coming up later, 019051 is the student parking, and part of this 19170 will be the money that's going to the RFP to look at the parking downtown. So please keep that in mind as we discuss the pending motions. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. The motion is for final passage of R19-170 as amended. Further discussion on that motion? Seeing none, if the clerk would please call the roll.
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Gedge.
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderman Laws.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Karen.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly. Alderwoman Malizi Gola.
Yes.
Alderman Tenza.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes,
And we have 14 yeas.
and that motion carries.
Second reading of Resolution 19-171, approving an amendment to the lease with Nashua Ice Center known as Conway Arena.
Alderman Clee.
Yes, I would like to make a motion for final passage of R19-171 by roll call, please.
Motion is for final passage of R19-171 by roll call. Is there discussion on that motion? If the clerk would please call the roll.
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Gedge.
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderman Laws.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Karen.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly. Alderwoman Malizi Gola.
Yes.
Alderman Tenza.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons. Alderman Wilshire.
Yes,
We have 14 yeas.
and that motion carries.
Second reading of Resolution 19-172, authorizing the mayor to enter into a power purchase agreement, PPA, and lease with Revision Energy.
Alderman Schmidt.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for final passage of R19-172 by roll call.
Motion is for final passage of R19-172. Is there discussion on that motion? Seeing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Gedge.
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderman Laws. Alderman Lopez. Alderman Karen.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly. Alderwoman Lizzie Gola.
Yes.
Alderman Tenza.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes,
And we have 14 yeas.
that motion carries. Unfinished business ordinances.
Second reading of ordinance 19-049, authorizing free holiday parking at meters in Zone 3, which includes the Elm Street and High Street parking garages from December 9, 2019 through January 3, 2020.
Alderman O'Brien.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to make a motion for final passage of 019-049 by roll call, and Merry Christmas to all.
The motion is for final passage of ordinance 19049. Is there discussion on that motion? Seeing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Gidge.
Ho, ho.
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderman Laws. Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Karen.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderwoman Malizi Gola.
Yes.
Alderman Tenza.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes,
And we have 14 yeas.
and that motion carries.
Second reading of ordinance 19-050, changing the location of the parking permits for the Lena's House residents.
Alderman Lopez.
I'd like to make a motion for final passage of 019-050 by roll call.
Motion is for final passage of ordinance 19050. Discussion on that motion. Seeing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Gidge.
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderman Laws.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Karen.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderwoman Malizi Gola.
Yes.
Alderman Tenza.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes,
And we have 14 yeas.
and that motion carries.
Second reading of ordinance 19-051, providing free library parking for up to 3 hours for Nashua students using the Nashua Public Library.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to move to amend 019051 by replacing it with the proposed amendments made at the Committee on Infrastructure meeting by roll call.
Motion is to amend ordinance 19051 in its entirety by replacing it with the proposed amendments made at the Committee on Infrastructure. Is there discussion on the amendment?
I could speak to it, please.
Certainly, Alderman Kelly.
Thank you. So just for those who were not at the infrastructure meeting, the change that was made was making it into a pilot program so that it would expire at the end of the school year with a presentation by the students prior to it sunsetting in consort with the Planning and Economic Development Department and the library staff to see how implementation went.
Anyone else? The motion is to amend. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Gidge.
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderman Laws. Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Karen.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderwoman Malizi Gola.
Yes.
Alderman Tenza.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
And Alderman Wilshire.
Yes,
We have 14 yeas.
and that motion carries. Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes, I'd like to move for final passage of R19051 as amended by roll call.
Motion is for final passage of ordinance 19051 as amended. Discussion on that motion. Alderman O'Brien.
Yes, God, I really do hate to be the Scrooge on this one, but it was heard in the Infrastructure Committee, and I was the sole dissenting vote. But I take my duties as chairman quite seriously. I cannot let something that I really feel just on the popularity of it really affect. I got to look at the global issue that is at hand. And just to remind you, we passed our 19170, which is very global. That's going to look at parking all in general. What I'm concerned about is I have listened to the Downtown Community Board and brought up by Ms. Blaisdell and everything, that this has got to highlight some problems with other people within the demographics. We, a part of our tax structure, we give breaks to veterans and disabled veterans. What happens if they approach us and say they would like to have some parking at the library? That is merited us. What about the wonderful children program that we have there? That is, we recognize tonight Ms. Bolton on that. And, you know, my mother herded 7 kids, you know what I mean, and brought them out of the car and everything. So I'm sure my mother would have appreciated if we did have, you know, free parking or closer parking for that. I really hate to do this. I think the presentation by the students was more than adequate and was good. I looked at it. They did eliminate part of it. There is cheaper parking in the same lot, but farther away. And then on Cottage Street, there is free 2-hour zone parking that they do have access. So if there was a little bit more of a walk, but the students could use that without, you know, feeding the meter. So to me, again, vote your conscience, you will. I don't want to be that much of a bad guy with it because I will, if this gets shot down and this is brought up as part of the study, I will advocate for this, strongly advocate for us. I believe in it. It's not that I'm against it. Again, I'm being, in a way, the bad guy because I got to look at the whole global parking issue. And to that vein, I really cannot support this.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Thank you. So just quick background for anyone who has not been privy to what's been going on with this. The students came to me and we actually formed a committee and came up with the idea of this. I think I talked about this when it was originally read. The students really felt strongly that this was what they wanted to put their efforts behind for the summer. And I think that their argument that as students, the library is an especially important resource for them is a really strong argument. A lot of them talked about needing a place to study that they could get to easily, and also being able to use those resources. We also heard from someone in public comment about the Cottage Street area being a bit further away, and parents or even students not feeling as comfortable walking from there as they would in the lot. So we did look at the financials that was in their presentation to infrastructure. The Downtown Improvement Committee gets the overflow parking. I think it was about $100,000 this year. So if all 20 passes were used 365 days a year, we're talking about maybe $6,000. And I don't see us doing 100% participation in this. So I would ask the board to consider that. I think that students really makes a lot of sense, and getting students into our downtown and enjoying the things that we already provide through our taxes makes a whole lot of sense.
Anyone else? Alderman Dowd.
Yeah, I certainly support the students going to the library and anything we can do to help them. But I also think that as I review all of this, that it hasn't been well thought out as the process. The students having to get a pass, go up to the library, get a pass, and if they were unlucky, they get a ticket while they were getting the pass, and then bring the pass back in the car, as I understand it now, anyway. And then when they're done, they have to do the opposite. It seems to me there are other ways to do it, and I think as part of the study, you would have a more efficient and more organized way of doing it for the students. The only thing I don't know is the timing of the study. If it was going to be hugely in the future, that'd be one thing. If it's going to be short term, I think we ought to wait for the results of the study, because I think there are several issues with parking downtown, and I'd like to solve it all in one shot and not have to come back and piecemeal.
Alderman Clee.
Yes, and I want to echo Alderman Dowd and Alderman O'Brien's words, the students did a phenomenal job, and I commend anybody who comes and does some kind of a presentation and so on. The problem that I have with this is I've received a number of phone calls from different groups of elderly people, groups of people that have functions at the library. I don't mean functions that way, but do different things, and said, well, why couldn't we get free parking? There's a lot of different groups and a lot of different entities, and while not all students are able-bodied, the majority of them are, which means that they can walk. And if they have to walk, as Alderman Dowd said, from their car to get the pass, back to their car, then when they leave, go to their car, bring back the pass, and go back to the car. I mean, that's 4 trips to their car. We're talking about $2.25. And yes, I know what it's like to not have money. I know what it's like not to even have a dime and so on. But I don't think $2.25 or $1.50, if they can get the lesser parking, is really going to necessarily break the bank. When some of the students spoke, they spoke about getting coffees at Barnes, which I think probably do cost more than $2.25, or stopping on their way to get a cup of coffee. I think our library is incredible. I think that it has enough to offer, and that's what people would like to come to and use those resources. I'd also like to see the study committee study completed. I think that, maybe in the end, it's going to say we should give all free parking. And I know Alderman Kelly and a few other people have said, I'd like to just see free parking there. I'm not so sure I necessarily would, because I do think that cuts into revenue, and as a taxpayer, every penny counts. But in the long run, whatever the study says, I would abide by it, and I think we all should do that. I just don't think that this is the time to do it. I think we need to wait. So thank you.
Alderman Laws.
So I've been conflicted with this one. On the one hand, as the liaison to the Downtown Improvements Committee, I think they are truly some of the unsung heroes of downtown Nashua. These people are small business owners. They give up their, Friday mornings to come in. They meticulously go over the details of their very limited budget, what they're going to do with it. And I completely understand that. And the last thing that I want to do is contribute to them having less budget to work with. On the other hand, I see that there is an intrinsic and unquantifiable value to enhancing the educational experience of students. And thankfully, a compromise has been reached. And that compromise is that there is a sunset clause on this. And 6, 8, 10, 11, 12 months from now, we're going to know whether or not this program has worked. We're going to know whether or not students have been using it. We're going to know whether or not they haven't. It's going to be minimal money lost to the Downtown Improvements Committee. It's money that we haven't raised yet. We're talking about it as though it's money that's being taken out of the budget, but it's money that hasn't technically been raised yet. I'm afraid to go there on Friday morning and catch the arrows for this, and I love everyone on that committee and respect them truly, but I'm going to support this because I think it's better for the students.
Alderman Lopez.
So I guess I have the benefit of being not conflicted. As the downtown alderman, I see the need that the students are bringing forward, and I agree with it. I'm very familiar with the parking space, the lot, the distance, all those kind of things. I also appreciate Alderman O'Brien's commitment to being chair. If you feel passionate about something, then I guess one approach would be to, as chair, make sure that that is known. I always thought chair was more of an opportunity to be a neutral party and preside over meetings. So we differ on that. I don't feel any obligation personally to represent anything other than my wards, my constituents, and the kids who go there. I am conscious of the Downtown Improvement Committee's budget, but I don't want students to have to pay for it when it's much more beneficial to have students at the library contributing to that scholastic environment that the library is designed for than it would be to collect $2.25 and have people leaving early or not having the change that they need and canceling their plans or whatever other barriers come up. It's not always about the amount of money you have total. It's sometimes about how you can deploy it. So personally, I don't see the economic value of that, particularly because I've been at the library at least 4 out of 7 days this week, and that lot is not full. There are extra spaces. This is not going to make it so that other people have to park farther away. It's not going to create a massive impact on any kind of revenue being generated that undermines the farmer's market. It's a small amount of money for a maximum amount of benefit. Cottage Street is not quite as adjacent as people might remember. I would encourage any aldermen who feel like walking to and from it is no big deal to surrender their aldermanic parking pass and park on West Pearl, because that's about the same distance. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm saying if we have an opportunity to let students park and encourage them to go to the library, I think we should do that. If we have an opportunity to better use resources like empty spaces by encouraging students to come use it, I think we should do that. And I think the same logic applies that if you want the students to park on Cottage Street for 2 hours, but you're afraid of having them walk back and forth from their car, it's the same difference. The only difference is they feel like they're able to be closer. They may not have to carry things quite as far, and it could make a difference, especially if they're carpooling, because then not every student has to walk back and forth. So I support this. I appreciate the presentation that the students did, and I will support what they've asked us to do.
Alderman Clemmons.
Thank you. I've struggled with this one as well, but unfortunately, in the end, I can't support it for a number of reasons. Some of them are more along the lines of what Alderman Dowd and Alderman O'Brien have said about the parking study. But then the other part of it is there's a value that we have downtown. And we, as a Board of Aldermen back in 2011, made a commitment to the people of Nashua. And what we said was if we raise the parking fees on you, the difference that we raise in that money, we're going to put directly back into downtown. And while, you know, it's a small amount of money, it's not really the point. The point is that there's a value to coming downtown. There are different things that are there. There are different resources beyond the library. There are different places to go, and it costs money to park there for a reason. You know, when you have a vehicle, you have to follow the rules of the road. If you park in front of a meter, you have to pay it. It is what it is. I mean, if the library isn't worth going to because you have to pay, then don't go. That's really my opinion on this. I think that would be a shame, but I think if you can afford to drive a car, you should be able to afford to drive through the toll that you go through, and you should be able to pay for the parking.
Alderman Schmidt.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm not conflicted, not a tiny bit. I think this is a marvelous idea. I think it's marvelous for a lot of reasons. I think it'll bring students downtown, which they don't normally do. They go down to South Nashua. They don't use the library because it's not convenient and because nobody's talking about it. These kids are talking about the library. That means that they're going to incite other kids to come down to the library. And it's not just about going to a coffee shop. The resources that are available at the library are wonderful. Papers that they write, they don't just need quiet, they also need the resources that are there. The library parking lot is only full when there is something going on there big. Otherwise, there are 10 spots that can be used. Nobody would be losing any money on this. And by the way, the Downtown Improvement Committee is amazing. Thank you for the work that you do because it matters. But this won't hurt you. This will help you. This will help kids come downtown, get into the habit of it, and be part of the community. And I can't thank the kids enough for doing this. I thought it was a stunning, stunning show that they put on for us. And really, they care about the city. This is one way the city can care about them. Thank you.
Anyone else who hasn't? Alderman Gidge.
Thank you, Representative Schmidt. You're absolutely correct. I would do anything, including give up parking meters money to get people to come down to the city of Nashua and use the library. People who read more are better people, more productive people, And if it's 50 cents or $1, but if we get 1,000 more people a month going to the library, this will be a far better city. Thank you very much for doing it, and I'm not sure if it's going, I don't think it's going to pass, but I think Schmidt has brought up some very good points, and I agree. Thank you very much, by the way, kids, guys.
Alderwoman Gafford.
Thank you, Madam President. Um, I'm not conflicted either, but I truly believe that if our young people really wanted to attend the library, they have that $1.75 or $2.50, whatever the cost it is, to come to the library. One of the things I know during the summer, they had free, their bus passes were free. You know, so we give to our young people to get them downtown or wherever they want to go across the city. And I too believe, like Representative Alderman Clemens said, that, you know, if you're at that age that you can drive a car, most of them are probably have small jobs or whatever, I think it's only that this is a beginning of them giving back to the city. That's just a beginning of their life for the things giving back as well. So for me, I would not be voting in favor.
Alderman Lopez, I'll get you.
Yeah, Alderman Schmidt's comments made me remember something that I almost forgot to say. The library isn't just about parking spaces, books, or music or whatever. There are very, very good library staff that are there that can be very helpful to students that are doing projects, finding resources, looking for resources. We even just recognized one of them today. The library staff is very much in support of this. So I wanted to point that out as well, that the library is more than just a facility, it's the people that are running it. And I think they do a very good job too.
Alderman Tenza.
So, I mean, if there's anything that we can do to help young kids be excited about microfiche, like Mr. Eid mentioned before, I think we should be doing it. That was my least favorite part of doing research in high school before the internet. So I'm glad another generation has to suffer through that. But I'd be probably more persuaded against this resolution if we didn't just pass an ordinance allowing holiday parking downtown and granting free parking to a whole group of people at a time really when, you know, there'd be a good incentive to enforce our parking meters and timing, because we want people to cycle through on those at that time and get more people in the downtown area. So this is a pilot program. We're going to see how it goes, see how many kids actually use it, and I'll support it.
Alderman Clemens.
Thank you. To the previous speaker, I would only mention as far as the free parking during the holidays, that's been a long-standing tradition, which I've never quite really been in favor of. I do vote for it though, but that doesn't say you have to be a student in order to get that free parking. It just says you have to park downtown between those dates and have a car, and you can park for free. So it doesn't discriminate against anybody.
Alderman Clee and then Alderman Lopez.
Yes, thank you. One of the things that I did forget when I was talking, the ordinance is very, very clear that it's for current high school or college identification cards that are also have a valid National Library card. And I brought this up during the last hearing when this was being heard, and that is that we eliminate other students. And I know that Alderman Lopez made a comment about, well, they don't drive. You're right, they don't drive because they're middle school kids, but their parents drive. And I'm not saying that a parent is going to want to do that trip back and forth just to save $2.25. But if we're really looking for this towards students and so on, we're really limiting the student population that gets to use it. And when I was in grammar school, middle school, and so on, I did use the library. I used the library a lot, not just for school things, but for reading programs and different programs that are going on. And we do have a children's program there. So we're eliminating that group of people, in addition to those that I'd mentioned that are less able-bodied, but not disabled to the point where they'd have a handicap sticker. Thank you.
Alderman O'Brien. Alderman O'Brien.
Thank you, Madam President. I wasn't going to speak again, but others have. Again, the thing is, again, the library, I can guarantee you right now, there was a bad accident in my neighborhood. The wife just texted me, a rollover. But she probably would have texted me if the library is on fire and it's not. The thing is, what is the real true need as we look at this? Before we go into something that could be prejudicial to another demographic of the city. And I listened to all your, as you brought up your points, and it seemed in some of your points, the demographic or eliminating at all some of the people kind of, lost this kind of presence there. Because there's, again, other groups. And the only way we're going to really look at the encompassing of this is a wonderful idea. I compliment the students for bringing it forward. I support it. But again, this could lead in, as we heard from another Alderman, Alderman Clee, the other groups do have equal standing now if this gets passed. And I would like to have some more control over that. As a city, that's part of our job, and to look at the other demographics that have come up, such as the elderly and everything. And so, as we vote, I hope you just keep that in mind. If this gets passed, again, it is worthwhile. I'm not going to stop a kid from going to the library. Don't want to do that at all. But again, in contrary to Alderman Lopez's opinion, yes, I advocated this. I brought it out as chairman. I brought it out of my committee. But again, up at the State House, we advocate as chairs, but we don't have to vote for it on the floor. And I'm only expressing my points of view as a citizen, as a duly elected alderman. I have done my duty by the Mason's book by bringing it out of committee and bringing it to the floor. So thank you.
Alderman Lopez?
Yeah, so I hear the conflict in many of the aldermen. I'm sure the students appreciate the thoughts and prayers. Again, I say there's a direct action we can take here. We don't have to wring our hands quite as much as we're doing. To Alderman Clemens' point, the free holiday parking is not extended to people who don't drive. So I don't get a free bus ride whenever I'm going downtown. So there's always going to be a group that is not entirely accommodated at the same level. That does not equal discrimination. And if I remember, both Alderman O'Brien and Alderman Clemens made comments to the effect of this would constitute discrimination and that they would be reaching out to legal. And we haven't yet heard what legal's opinion was. So I guess I'll ask Attorney Bolton, is this discriminatory? Are we opening the city up for a lawsuit if we allow these placards?
It is not illegal discrimination.
Okay, so it's discrimination insofar as up is up, down is down, and those are different things.
Well, it doesn't burden a fundamental right, nor is it based on a suspect classification.
Alderman Laws?
And I'd also like to point out that if any group of citizens is feeling discriminated against and they would like to organize and put together a presentation and come in, present it to committees and the Board of Aldermen and try to get free parking at the library, we will absolutely encourage them to do so. And the adverse of that is I do not want to discourage the future politicians and world leaders of America. They did a hell of a job getting this together and coming here and trying to convince us. And I think that if you look at the cost-benefit analysis of what we lose versus what we could potentially gain, it's kind of a no-brainer, especially when you consider there's a sunset clause in it. So I don't really understand. Sorry. That's it.
Alderman Dowd?
Yes, I became even more conflicted because I was highly enlightened by Alderman Schmidt's comments, and having spent 18 years supporting education and building schools and helping students learn, I feel conflicted not voting for this. There's a couple concerns I have. One, how this functions in practice ought to be part of the study. And I think I would have preferred that we have a time definite to come back and evaluate how it's been going. But I certainly don't want to deprive the students from going to the library. I also think there would be better ways than the current process that's outlined for them being able to get a parking pass. I think, having spent 35 years in logistics, that is not the most logistically satisfying way to do it. And I think that it probably should be looked at before implemented to see if there's a better way of doing it. So, having said that, I'm more inclined to support this in the short term as a study. If those things are met, that it becomes part of the overall study. The other thing that I'm concerned about, if it has any type of severe impact, which it may or may not, depending on who's speaking, on the funding for the Downtown Improvement Committee, I would like to see this board address that and in the future and try to make that right to the Downtown Improvements Committee.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Thank you. So, Alderman Dowd, I wanted to answer some of your questions, and I've actually been waiting patiently and hearing the conversation. But in terms of how the students came up with how this would be implemented, this was well researched. We worked on it for about 3 months. We met with Jen McCormack. We met with Tim Cummings. We did have discussions with some downtown business owners. And some of the things that came up, and the reason it is a little clunky, but the reason we went that way was because we talked about using a code through your app, and we thought that was much easier to abuse. And then we also talked about, just issuing them to students, but that doesn't allow you to cap how many spots are being used at a time. So we really did think about and talk through these things, and we agree, going in, getting it, and coming back is where we landed after talking through a lot of different things. And I think that's why it being a pilot is going to be really helpful, so we can have that discussion. As part of the amendment, there is an end date in the amendment, and there's I believe I put 90 days prior, we will give that report of how it's going. So there is specifics to that. Legally, we already covered. So for the question around what happens with revenue, I actually was really happy to hear that the Downtown Improvement Committee is doing this parking study. Obviously, when we started this process, we didn't know that. And so I think this can just be another piece of information as they're going through that process. But I think if I recall, the initiative to get that study was because we originally were talking about let's double the rent rates in the garages. And I believe at that meeting we said, can we get a study? We want to know, where our parking garages are in terms of infrastructure needs and all of these things. So I think that their study along with this will give us a really good idea of how to reallocate perhaps how we do parking and parking fees in downtown. The last thing I want to say, and Alderman Laws beat me to it, but I think when a group of passionate people come to us as representatives and say, this is something that I'm interested in, it is our job to listen and weigh in and really act in accordance with how we feel and what we hear from our constituents. And this time it's the students. If the seniors come together and have this conversation, great, but that's absolutely our job. So I commend the students for coming forward. It's been really great for them to be part of this process and see it, and I appreciate all of the really interesting discussion from the board, and I hope that we put this through for them.
Alderman Clay.
Yeah, I just want to add to what Alderman Kelly had said. This does have a 60-day prior to expiration report by the Youth Advisory Committee. They do have to do it. They did not set what the criteria was or what they had to answer, but they did do the sunset of June 16th, 2020, with 60 days prior to expiration, a report by the Youth Advisory Committee along with the National Library and the Economic Development Committee will be made to the Board of Aldermen to review the outcome of this pilot program and consider continuation. So in all fairness, I do want that to be made clear. Thank you.
Alderman Clemmons and then Alderman Mazzaglia.
Thank you. I just want to clarify something in case it wasn't made clear. I do appreciate the fact that the presentation was brought forward, and I do appreciate the work that was done by the students and by the folks who were involved. It's just that I have a fundamental disagreement. I believe that, you know, what is right for one should be right for all. And, you know, basically other than for handicap parking, really, we should be creating a level of playing field of fairness when it comes to the library. And I believe that this is only achieved through doing a comprehensive study of how to go about doing that. I don't think that it is fair to other folks that we single out one group of the population and decide that we're going to give away parking to them, but not to others. And I would feel the same way regardless of what group came before us and presented whatever plan it was. If it left somebody else out, I would definitely vote no, because I happen to believe that we should be doing things as fairly and as equitably as we can. It's what I was elected to do, and that's what I'm going to uphold tonight by voting no.
Alderwoman Mazzaglia.
Yes, thank you. When I was aware of this ordinance in its original form, I was not supporting it. And now that it has the pilot portion in it with the report back to the Board of Aldermen, I am going to support this. I think the information gained from this pilot can be rolled into the parking study. And although this says that there will be a report back to us 60 days prior to the expiration, I think that as the parking study kicks in and moves along, which I'm sure is going to happen before June, we should be reaching out to the library and looking at what's happening there. I can't believe all of these passes will be used at one time. And certainly there are empty spots in that library lot, except as previous speakers have indicated when there are major events going on there. So I think we try it as a pilot, use the information going forward to look at what it means for parking downtown, and consider what the feedback is and move forward. So I will be supporting it.
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes, Madam President, may we move the motion, please?
I need a chance to speak.
Oh, okay, excuse me then. Then I concede my motion to the president.
So I equally feel that the students have presented a great project here. It was a great presentation. They were really passionate about it. But on the other hand, so were the people from the Downtown Improvement Committee passionate about the work they've been doing all this time downtown.
Yeah.
What I would like to see is this study that the students and the downtown people work together on so that it's beneficial to everyone. And like Alderman Clemmons says, if we give it to one group, why don't we just make it all free parking for everybody? We're singling out one group, and yes, you were passionate about it, and yes, the downtown committee is passionate about it. But I don't understand why the two can't go through the study together and hopefully come out with an outcome that works for everyone. So I will not be supporting it this evening, and I hope that the downtown study comes through and says, hey, we can do this for this population, or maybe the library comes up with something, some controlled parking that you have to put your library card in to get access to the parking lot. So Alderman Gidge.
I want the money. I want the money for the parking. I want people in the library. If you really mean this, you come back to us and bring back a picture of several hundred people standing in front of the library. And that may change the minds of a lot of people here. More people downtown will spend more money. That may make up for it. So that's how I feel. I will vote for it.
Alderman Lopez.
I feel like it's fundamentally unfair to keep telling the students that they need to do more work when they did the work and they brought the presentation. The Downtown Improvement Committee did not review their presentation. They didn't even see the ordinance. They don't have minutes posted, which is something I brought up in the last meeting, and they still don't have minutes posted. I think the students have done their part here. I think Downtown Improvement Committee is not universally in charge of parking policy in Nashua. I think that's our role. We can't keep acting as though we're not doing something actively here to prevent students from this coming forward, because they have designed a plan that's workable and can work. We may talk about the rules of the road, but we're literally the ones who set most of the rules of the road. So I think if we're going to be honest, we need to be at least respectful of the students and the work that they've put in, and really give it the credibility that it deserves, because they did study the problem. I followed up myself by looking at the parking spaces, and I do not believe that everyone else here has looked quite as closely as the students have. I think we're just responding to some comments that were made by 2 citizens on the Downtown Improvement Committee.
Alderman Lopez, I don't think anyone here has been disrespectful to any student.
I disagree.
I don't think anyone has, Alderman Lopez. We can have a difference of opinion, and that's okay. Any group that comes before us that makes a presentation doesn't mean we have to vote in favor. That's our prerogative as a board. I don't think anyone has been disrespectful to the students.
I don't think it's fair to say that the presentation that they made and the research they did has the same weight as a committee that is made up of adults, is obligated by city ordinance to be posting minutes and isn't doing that, so there's no explanation of what they're doing, whereas the students have been coming and doing this in public and in full view of the public.
Alderwoman Kelly.
I'd like to move the question, please.
Would the clerk call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien.
No.
Alderman Gidge.
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
No.
Alderman Dowd.
No.
Alderman Clee.
No.
Alderman Laws.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Karen. Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderwoman Malizi Gola.
Yes.
Alderman Tenza.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons.
No.
Alderman Wilshire.
No.
We have 8 yeas and 6 nays.
Motion passes. Is there further discussion on final passage of 019-51 as amended? Would the clerk please call the roll?
We just did that.
We just
Yeah,
called
for
the
the
roll.
amendment.
No.
That was for the
That was the
amended
final
version.
passage.
That was to
Amended
move
was
the
the
question.
final.
which
Yeah,
allowed
That was
no
to
more
move the
debate.
question.
That was the final.
Oh,
Oh, move the question.
That was to move the question.
Oh.
The motion before us right now is for final passage of ordinance 1951 as amended.
And having that motion to move the question stops all debate.
Correct.
So
It's not
you now
debatable.
have to vote on the final motion.
Correct.
Alderman O'Brien.
No.
Alderman Gidge.
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
No.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
No.
Alderman Laws.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Karen.
Yes.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderwoman Malizi Gola.
Yes.
Alderman Tenza.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt.
Yes.
Alderman Clemmons.
no discrimination.
And Alderman Wilshire.
No.
4 yeses, excuse me. Oh, I did that wrong. Sorry about that. Hold on a second.
We'll have to get a new city clerk.
Fix that.
Nice.
Sorry, Trish.
Yeah. So now we have 10 yeas and 4 nays.
And that motion carries.
Yeah. Or 9.
Is that right?
1, 2, 3. No,
That's not.
Nine. 9 yeas.
9, yeah.
9 yeas.
And
Yeah,
5.
and 5 nays.
Yeah, it's 14.
10 yeas and 9 yeah. It's been a long night with all these roll calls. 9 yeas, 5 nays.
And that motion carries.
Too many of them.
Congratulations.
Wow, did I miss that one? Rewrite that one.
New business resolutions.
First reading of Resolution 19-174, establishing the use of fund balance for tax rate.
Additional sponsors? Alderman O'Brien, Alderman Dowd, Alderman Gidge, Alderman Harriet Gathright, Alderman Clee, Alderman Laws, Alderman Lopez, Alderman Karen, Alderwoman Melissa Goya, Alderman Tenza, Alderman Schmidt. Given its first reading, I'll assign that to the Budget Review Committee.
First reading of Resolution 19-175 relative to the transfer of $10,000 from Department 194 contingency, account 70100 general contingency, to Department 181 community development account and classification 55 other services for a landscaping design plan for Edgewood Cemetery.
Additional sponsors? Alderman O'Brien, Alderman Gidge, Alderwoman Melissa Goya. Given its first reading, I'll assign that to the Budget Review Committee. There being no objection, I'll suspend the rules to allow for first reading of Resolution 19-176.
First reading of Resolution 19-176 relative to the transfer of $56,300 from Department 194 contingency, account 70100 general contingency.
Additional sponsors? Alderman O'Brien, Alderman Gidge, Alderman Dowd, Alderman Clee, Alderman Lopez, Alderwoman Melissa Goya, Alderman Schmidt. Given its first reading, that will be assigned to the Budget Review Committee. New business ordinances.
There are none.
Period for general public comment. Shannon St. Pierre. Thank you for your patience with all the roll calls.
I wasn't sure it was going to happen. All right. Hi. My name is Shannon St. Pierre. I'm here speaking on behalf of the International Institute of New England, which the address is actually 470 Pine Street, located in Manchester. But the reason I'm here tonight is because we serve a really large population in Nashua as well. So we work with refugees and immigrants, and we're trying to kind of bolster our awareness in the Nashua area. So we are primarily known as a refugee resettlement agency, but we do a lot more work than just resettlement. We work with refugees and immigrants for education purposes, employment services, legal services, and just generally raising awareness and amplifying voices. So I have two motives in speaking tonight. The first is just so that you all know who we are a little bit. International Institute of New England. It's a really long name. We're not a study abroad. We're a refugee resettlement agency. And the second point in my speaking tonight is that we are hosting an event in Nashua, kind of to be a culmination of our, I guess, just being here in Nashua. It's called Suitcase Stories. It's September 29th at Nashua High School North. And what it is it's refugees and immigrants that get up on stage and share their stories about their journeys here to New Hampshire. We have a lot of local tellers. So we have people who are living here in Nashua and sharing their stories. So it's a really great way for the community to hear from their new American neighbors and really get to know them on a more personal level. So that is why I'm here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, there is no one else to speak. Remarks by... Oh, I'm sorry, no one else had signed up. Please come to the mic. Give your name and address for the record, please.
Peter Schaefer, 15 E Street. I'd like to commend the students for having done all this, although they're out partying somewhere now. But they did a lot of good work. They went to other meetings as well, gave presentations, talked about it. So they put a lot of effort into this, and it's a really great opportunity for them to sort of learn how the sausage is made. So I think it's going to fare well for them in the future. I wanted to point out some of the arguments that were made. I thought a lot of the arguments were, there were two types of arguments that were made here. One was sort of the emotional, compassionate arguments, and some of them were sort of the rational, this is the way it is, kind of arguments. I think next time next year, and the students go through this again when they do the report, I think one of the things that they need to take a look at is some of the rational arguments they made. I really think that parking at the end of the parking lot where it's free is not a big deal. I think if that were to become an issue for students not going to the library, we have a bigger problem than just parking, okay? I also think if they are not comfortable walking that far to go to the library, then I think we have another problem that's bigger than, just parking. So I think the arguments that were made, they can hone that a little bit more. If they see this, they can take a look at that. So I just wanted to sort of point that out. The other thing is, the other argument many of you have made is that other people can also ask for free parking. I mean, I'm a senior citizen, why, can I ask for free parking now as well? I'm not going to, by the way. I like walking, okay? But I just want to point that out, okay? And, we've got that rule that says, age before beauty. Are we going to break that rule? So I really think that this was a great opportunity for the students, and I'm glad that they won. I think they need to do a little bit more work to win next time, I suspect. Thank you.
Committee announcements. Alderman Lopez.
Meeting of the Substandard Living Conditions Committee tomorrow at 7:30, 7 o'clock? Thursday. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
For some reason, I thought it was Wednesday.
Feels that way.
Alderwoman Melissa Goya.
We have PEDC next Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Okay. Alderman Dowd.
Budget next Monday.
Anyone else? Okay. Remarks by Alderman. Alderman O'Brien.
Thank you. Madam President, I'd like to thank you for your reminder of decorum as with the debate. You should have seen the meeting on infrastructure where that very same subject was discussed. It did take the Eagle debate a long time, but it was very good, and I think the students definitely benefit from it. I have no objection with the negative vote. It's part of the legislative process, and I think the students understand that in their maturity. And so I think it was good, and this is all part of the democracy. The second thing, if allowed, is I'd like to congratulate and admit a great loss that we're going to feel here in the board with Sue Lovering being appointed downstairs to the city clerk's office. I think she has been an asset to this board, and oh, a visitor.
We have another public
And I
speaker.
wish,
Ward 6 resident.
yes, I wish Patricia Piazzu, again, best wishes in her new assignment and everything. And I would like to congratulate the Kelly family on the addition of their new baby. And recently, our corporate counsel and Kathy Bolton had another baby. So I would like to announce tonight, new addition to the O'Brien Dion clan, or the Dion O'Brien clan, of my granddaughter who came into the world at 12:45 this morning, kept us up late, so we were very happy with that. She's a bundle of joy, and I say that this time with much prejudice. She's the cutest darn thing, so congratulations to them and to all the babies. May they all have a long and healthy life, and best wishes. Thank you.
Alderman Clegg.
Yes, I too would like to congratulate Ms. Lovering on her new appointment, and let Ms. Piascio know that we will miss you dearly, but I'm glad that you'll be up in the State House where we can bother you up that way instead. You will not escape from us. I'd also like to, in all jest, but I was wondering whether or not we needed to have Ms. Lovering do a roll call to make sure that she does know how to do it properly. So don't worry, I'm not going to do it. Alderman Lopez did. But I would also like to congratulate all the new babies into this world.
Yeah.
Alderman Kelly, Alderman O'Brien, and Mr. Bolton for your new grandbaby. I knew that it was not your baby. I saw the look on your face like, did somebody not tell me something? But, and I do have one question for the person who spoke about the event that you're hosting. What time would that be?
It's at 7 o'clock. I have flyers, but I didn't know if I could leave them somewhere.
I believe you can. Yeah, 7 p.m. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Alderman Lopez.
So there's a bunch of stuff coming up this weekend I just want to make sure the board is aware of. There's a water walk, which is recognizing the steps people have to take just to get clean water and fresh water in other parts of the world. That's Saturday morning at Greeley Park. There is a futsal court dedication at Ash Street across the street from the PAL Center, and that is at noon. The Beauty Beyond Borders Art Olympics is also happening at 12:30 to, I believe, 2. Beauty Beyond Borders is a nonprofit organization that focuses on positive self-image. So I'm going to be busy, like running around left and right. And then on Sunday, there's also the Multicultural Festival at St. Patrick's Gym on Main Street. I also wanted to invite everybody, members of the board, the public. On September 21st, there is the Out of the Darkness Walk, also leaving from Greeley. It is in, it's done out of sympathy and in concert with people who have lost people to suicide, and to raise awareness of that as a social issue. There's a lot of stigma associated with it, where agencies won't necessarily release statistics because they don't want to alarm the public. Individuals won't necessarily identify exactly what happened. They'll deal with the trauma alone, which is not good. Like, we need to be together for stuff like that. So the Out of the Darkness Walk, if anybody's willing to join my team from the board, I'm willing to give them a free local politician hat. If any member of the public wants to join, I have extra Tree Streets Block Party hats, shirts that they can have. So that's September 21st. It's coming up fast. It's a week from Saturday. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Alderman Clay?
Yes, I would like to say that I will be walking with you. I did join your team, and I have been trying to raise some money.
I'll get
So I
you a
want
hat.
that hat, yes. Thank you.
Alderman Karen?
Thank you. First, on a sad note, we lost this week a longtime basketball coach, Mr. Eli Whitney. It was very unexpected. He's the one that just finished the mountain climb before he got ill. Him and his family were very involved in politics. His wife Quincy worked in Ward 7 for about 15 years as a registrar. So my condolences go out to him, his family. The other thing is congratulations, Ms. Lovering, for your new position. I've known you since you first started, and you've done a fabulous job. You're a very dedicated young lady, so I know you're going to do good things in the city clerk's office. And Ms. Piazza, we wish you the best in your new position. I won't be calling you because I don't go to Concord. And also congratulations to all the babies this year. As Alderwoman Kelly says, future mayors of the city.
Alderwoman Kelly?
Yes, thank you. Just wanted to commemorate solar going through. That's a initiative that the Energy and Environment Committee has been very excited to see go through, and I personally am very excited to see that pass. Thank you for the lively debate on student parking. I know that they're very excited, and I appreciate that. I also wanted to congratulate Ms. Lovering and say a sad goodbye to Trish Piazzu. I'm glad I could make your last meeting roll call heavy. That's all I have.
Thank you. Alderwoman Lisa Goya?
Thank you. First of all, from PEDC, we had the presentation on the GIS functioning within the city, and I think all of us who were there were very happy to hear how well GIS is doing and what the next steps are. If you didn't have a chance to see the video, the information for the presentation's attached to the minutes, so you may want to, bless you, to look at that. And congratulations on all the babies. I'm sure you're all going to be very busy running in the next 18 to 24 months as you chase after them. And Ms. Piazza, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure working with you, not only here in the chamber, but in other events throughout the community. We'll miss you. We wish you well, and we know it'll be a great opportunity for you. And certainly, Ms. Lovering, we're happy for you and glad you're staying here in the building, so we'll have easy access to you. The other thing, and this is kind of like a month's notice, but on Saturday, October 5th at 7 p.m., the Brian McCarthy Foundation is going to be holding their first fundraiser at the Holiday Inn. Tickets are available in advance and also will be for sale at the door. A silent auction, raffles, music, light refreshments, and a cash bar. And I think all of us sitting around the chamber are aware of how dedicated Brian was to science. And the foundation's mission is to provide advocacy and scholarships related to STEAM education for students here in Nashua. So I hope you'll be able to join all of us who will be there. And if you or anyone interested or listening is interested in making a donation either to the foundation or an item for a silent auction, if you go to the website, you'll be able to find out how to do that. So hopefully everyone will mark their calendars and join us there. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Timms.
Thank you. I too just wanted to congratulate all the families on expanding and expanding the chamber here. Along with to the clerk and to Ms. Lovering, I think it's a great testament to the city to see folks moving up to positions within the state and then being promoted even within City Hall here. It's a testament to all the folks who work here and the amount of appreciation they have for the city, and hopefully they understand how much we appreciate they do for us as well. I also just wanted to express my condolences to the Nashua Police Department and police family on the passing of Captain Lato. Captain Lato really personified the best of the Nashua Police Department. He was a captain. I knew him when he was the lieutenant at in the Special Investigations Division, working tirelessly for victims of domestic violence victims, as well as kids who had been victims of a crime. He was also he was a bright guy. He had his law degree. He used all of his intelligence to help other people who are less fortunate than him. So he's going to be missed, I'm sure, by Nashua Police and by the whole city. So, again, condolences to them.
Alderman Schmidt.
Thank you. Did anyone else notice that the 3 babies born here are all of Irish derivation?
We got
I wanted to thank everybody for the spirited discussion that we had on the student parking. This was great. This was great for the students as well. What an experience for them to bring something forward like that. And thank you, everybody, for your kindness. Thank you.
Okay.
Can I have seconds?
No seconds. You had your shot. You're done.
I wanted to follow up with what Alderman Schmidt just said, though, and say I appreciated the discussion as well. And in the future, I will try to do it without being so confrontational, particularly to the president.
Thank you, Alderman Lopez. I appreciate the presentation. I appreciate that Alderman Kelly brought this forward, even though I didn't agree with it. I mean, I think it gave the students a voice, and you know, that's always a good thing. But we're good, Alderman Lopez. And we
Okay.
can agree to
Have to look over my
disagree
back when I cross
and
the
move
street.
forward, and that's always good. So thank you. Alderman Gathright.
Like for dinner?
I've given Patricia and Susan my congratulations and thankfulness for all that they've done to help me. And but I just want to publicly say congratulations to both of you. And it's been great just getting to know you all.
I too would like to congratulate and thank our outgoing city clerk, Patricia Piazzu, for the wonderful job she's done for the time she's been here, and congratulations on your new job. And also, we're going to miss Sue Lovering in the aldermanic office, but we know she'll still be around and still helping us out in our meetings, so congratulations to you. Alderman O'Brien.
Thank you, Madam President. This is the one. I'd like to make the motion that the September 10th, 2019 meeting of the Board of Aldermen be adjourned by roll call.
Would the clerk please call the roll?
Gladly. Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Gidge.
No. Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderman Laws.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman Karen. Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderwoman Malizi Golder. Alderman Tenza.
Yes.
Alderman Schmidt. Alderman Clemmons.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire.
Yes.
We have 14 yeas.
And we are adjourned at 9:35 PM. Thank you, everyone.
Night.